And whistleblowers with claims of UFO sightings testify at Capitol Hill. We sit down with one expert who breaks it down and how it may not be aliens and what it would take to prove their existence. Last year, Mallinckrodt, one of America's largest manufacturers of opioids, agreed to pay $1.7 billion to resolve thousands of lawsuits. And state and local governments and people addicted to opioids accuse the company of helping cause a public health crisis. And now hedge funds who invested into the company are coming up with a plan to cut off about $1 billion meant to help victims of opioid addiction and keep some of the money for themselves. It's a new story from the Wall Street Journal. And joining us is one of the reporters who worked on that report, Alexander Saeedy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So hedge funds lent billions of dollars to the company. What is the plan that these hedge funds are now devising?
Their plan is to have the company file for bankruptcy, and they want to take over the company as part of a Chapter 11 filing. So they would swap their existing debts for control of the company through a mix of shares and some additional debt that they'll be taking back. But what they're going to do is when the company files for bankruptcy, they're going to come with a plan to the bankruptcy court where a pre-existing settlement that the company only agreed to start paying a year ago, which has been for victims of opioid addiction and also state governments and local governments who are fighting on the front lines of opioid addiction in their communities. The hedge funds are going to wipe out all of the money still owed to them as part of the planned bankruptcy filing, which we're told could come as soon as the next month.
Wow. Okay. And what is $1 billion? What was it supposed to be used for? And who loses out really if that plan goes through? And you touched on some of that, just victims of opioid abuse.
Yeah, that's right. So most of the funds are actually earmarked for public health departments. State governments and local governments bear a lot of the financial burden of dealing with opioid addiction in their communities. That's both through dealing with the costs of rehabilitation, methadone clinics, helping people recover and break the cycle of addiction, but also includes community outreach programs, teaching people about what opioids can do to you, do to your mind, alter your brain chemistry. And beyond state governments, there's also a pocket of money meant for individuals who took Mallinckrodt's pills. Many people may not be familiar with Mallinckrodt, but they were the largest producer of opioids in America between 2006 and 2014. They created about 35 billion pills in that period. And a lot of drugs that you'll see on the street that are opioid related are essentially illicitly obtained Mallinckrodt pills that people receive from doctors and sold illegally on the streets. So the company has a role in the history of opioid addiction in this country, and the settlement was meant to settle lawsuits that they faced, which alleged that they knew how addictive their pills were and they hid it from the public. Yeah.
Yeah, and Alexander, lastly, what's the reaction about this plan, and do we think that it's likely to go through?
So the reaction, has been one of outrage. The settlement, when it was agreed last year, gave the company full immunity from future lawsuits related to its creation of opioids, but they asked for 8 years to pay the total $1.7 billion settlement. They've only made one payment under that program so far, and they're threatening to file for bankruptcy and leave almost all of the remainder unpaid. And people who are fighting on the front lines of opioid addiction are furious because they were counting on settlement money to help administer Narcan to people they see overdosing on the streets or in their communities. State governments, too, are also budgeting for more resources to help fight opioid addiction from settlements from companies like Mallinckrodt, but also others like Purdue Pharma, large opioid distributors. In terms of the feasibility of the plan, that will ultimately be up to a bankruptcy court. If the company files for bankruptcy again, they'll bring a plan to a judge. The judge will weigh whether or not that plan is legally sound, but most experts we speak to tell us that there is nothing illegal that Mallinckrodt is doing. We will see if they make good on those plans that we reported on earlier today.
Okay, Alexander from the Wall Street Journal, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.